So the 2026 Winter Olympics in Milano Cortina, they're trying to do something that could be a total game changer. But the biggest competition here? It's not actually happening on the slopes. Nope, it's a race to completely redefine what it even means to host one of these massive global events. Let's take a look at how they're planning to pull this off.
Yeah, when I say the biggest challenge isn't on the slopes, I mean it. The real competition for these games, it's not about speed or skill. It's a race against two enormous opponents, crushing financial waste and, you guessed it, a warming planet.
You see, for years and years now, the Olympic dream has had this dark side. It often turns into a total financial nightmare. I mean, cities pour billions of dollars into building these spectacular venues, all for just 2 weeks of glory. But then what happens? The athletes go home, the tourists leave, and what's left behind?
Well, what's left behind are these things called white elephants. They're these super expensive, custom-built venues that, once the games are over, just sit there. They fall apart, get abandoned, and become these giant concrete reminders of a party that ended a long, long time ago. And all they really leave behind is a mountain of debt.
And, as if that wasn't a big enough problem, now we've got an even bigger one: climate change. With temperatures rising, especially in those high alpine regions, the one thing the Winter Games absolutely depend on, good, reliable snow and ice, it's literally disappearing. We're talking about an existential threat to the whole event.
So, okay, how in the world do you solve an Olympic-sized problem like this? Well, Italy's answer is pretty radical. They're following this brand new playbook from the International Olympic Committee called the New Norm, and it's all built around one simple but powerful idea: stop building big and start thinking smart.
And this right here, this gets to the absolute heart of that new mindset. The mantra is legacy and reuse. Instead of just building everything from scratch, the very first question they ask is, okay, what do we already have? If a venue exists, they use it, period. And if they have to build something, the plan is to make it temporary, so it can be repurposed after the games.
Okay, get ready for this number. 93%. Let that sink in for a second. 93% of the venues for the 2026 games are going to be either existing or temporary. That one single statistic, that's the cornerstone of their entire sustainability plan. It's a complete 180 from the old, super wasteful way of doing things.
All right, so a 93% reuse rate? That's a seriously ambitious goal, right? You got to be asking, how are they actually going to pull this off, especially with the whole no snow threat from climate change? Well, this is where some really incredible technology enters the picture.
So let's just tackle the elephant in the room, the most obvious question for a Winter Olympics. In a world where winters are just getting warmer and warmer, how do you guarantee you'll have enough snow for the athletes to even compete?
The answer, and this might surprise you, is a pretty low-tech solution called snow farming. Honestly, the best way to think about it is like saving leftovers for a huge party. They literally collect all the snow from the previous winter, pile it into these huge mounds, and then tuck it in for the summer under these special geothermal blankets. Then, when the games roll around, they just pull back the covers and bam, instant snow. So simple, but incredibly effective.
And the innovation isn't just happening on the slopes. Take something like broadcasting. Traditionally, you'd fly in massive crews with tons of heavy equipment. Not anymore. Now they're using the cloud. This means production teams can work remotely from pretty much anywhere in the world, which just drastically slashes their carbon footprint from travel.
So this new, greener blueprint has a few other really cool parts. They're using what are called digital twins. Think of a video game version of a venue. They build a perfect virtual replica to test everything out and solve problems before construction even begins. The entire games are also going to be powered by 100% renewable energy. And maybe most importantly, any new infrastructure is built with a long-term legacy in mind. A perfect example: the Olympic Village is going to become student housing as soon as the games are over. Brilliant.
Okay, a sustainable, cheaper Olympics? That sounds like a total win-win, right? But what does this new model actually look and feel like for the people on the ground? The fans, the locals, the athletes? And what are the potential pitfalls of taking such a radical new approach? So let's break down how this impacts everyone. If you're a spectator, you're going to be hopping on a train a lot, traveling between venues spread out over a huge area. If you're a local, the legacy is tangible. You get things like transport upgrades and new housing, not some big empty stadium collecting dust. And for the athletes, well, they've got to adjust to competing on artificial snow. And trust me, that's a totally different beast. It's often way harder and faster than the natural stuff.
But look, is this a perfect plan? Of course not. A plan this huge, this ambitious, it's never going to be without its challenges. And there are some really serious questions and potential problems that come with this new model.
Okay, let's get real about the risks. For starters, making all that artificial snow takes a massive amount of water, and that can strain local resources. Then you've got the logistics. The venues are spread out over 22,000 square kilometers. That's a nightmare. And trying to refurbish old buildings? It can be a total Pandora's box of unexpected costs. And then there's the big one, the risk of greenwashing, where it's just easier to buy carbon offsets than to do the hard work of actually cutting emissions.
But despite all of those very real hurdles, the potential payoff here is huge. If Milano Cortina can actually pull this off, it could create a ripple effect that goes way, way beyond just winter sports. You have to wonder, what could this mean for the future of all big global events?
I mean, if this is successful, this whole light footprint model could pretty much become the new gold standard. It would be the proof that you can host a spectacular global event without bankrupting a city or destroying the planet. We're talking about a potential game changer for everything from the World Cup to all future Olympics.
So, it all comes down to this, the billion-dollar question. Is what Milano Cortina is doing just a one-off experiment? Or is this truly the new gold standard for all mega events? The whole world is definitely going to be watching to see if this new model can, well, stick the landing.